Hello everybody, this is Serpent, and welcome back to another episode in iCraft. And in the last episode, as you are probably aware, we did that. And now what I want to do is try and do some detailing. However, this is probably going to be a slightly shorter episode because, unfortunately, finals call, and I have to answer that call by studying. So, yeah, I don't have a whole lot of time. Hence, probably going to be a short episode. However, I do want to try and get some stuff done. So I'll probably be jumping right into it, not trying to waste too much time. That way the time we do have will be used efficiently. Anyway, so I do have an idea here. I want to try and make rooms out of this, obviously, because it is a building. And I want to put a window in each of those triangle thingies. Is the creeper following me? And I want to make a room probably containing those windows in the whole rectangle, because otherwise I would have to end up putting together a room with a slanted roof, and I mean that would look cool. It would mean we'd have to have a slanted floor on the room above. But that isn't even the worst of the problems, because this is not a very large space. And if we did that slanty room thing, that would make it even less large. So I'm going to try to avoid that conundrum by making a single room out of probably that, actually, I would think. Maybe a multi-level room, but still a single room in itself. You know, like a balcony or something. But yeah, probably going to be something of that sort of nature. Multi-level, because that is a very tall room, and I would rather like it to have more than 2 rooms per tower, honestly. In fact, I would prefer 4 rooms per tower. But that seems a little bit like this thing's too small, or yeah. Well, the problem here is really that slanty bit, isn't it? Because if I put a floor there, then the slanty bit would go past the floor, and windows would look weird. But I suppose I could put a window there, and then a window there, and a little crossbar between where the floor is. Yeah, that might work. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the little things, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I should put it right there, I think. The floor. Yeah, okay. We'll try that out. Yeah. That thing. All along there. And then once we've got that down, let's see, is that centered? That seems a little centered, yeah. Mostly centered. Anyway, I'll try and put a floor down there, and then we'll see what happens from there. Now, I suppose the first thing to do here is to put a floor in on the inside, instead of just having this dirt stuff. Now, I think that probably involves deciding what level to put the floor at, since it's sloped, not flat. I do like the slope, actually, but obviously it does pose some small problem in the regard that it doesn't provide an actual direct floor level. Nothing obvious. But I'm going to put it at the top, because that seems like the most obvious thing to do, mainly since the well, this bit over here, this bit over here would be blocking the window if it wasn't up at the top. Although, come to think of it, putting the window here now will leave a gap down there. Maybe I can have a step halfway down. That might look nice. Anyway, I'll come to that when I come to that. But for the moment, I'm going to try and just fill it in. Although, come to think of it, this is not the floor covering that I would actually like to put on. Now I don't know what the floor covering I would like to put on is, but that's definitely not going to be it. Because this thing is just too similar. I don't want it to all be the same color. However, andesite, stone brick, these things are all possible. And I don't know which one I want to put on, but I'll grab some anyway. Might be nice to put clay in though. I have some clay. Not a lot, it was just for testing, but I do have some. Now, the problem with this, with the clay stuff is that it has no texture really, it's smooth. And that would, I think I want some sort of a texture. Because, yeah, I don't want it to all be flat. Now, I do also want to put some trim around the windows. I was thinking about nether brick. So I'll smelt up some netherrack while I'm trying to figure out what to build the floor out of. And then once I have some materials gathered up, I can do some stuff. Aha! I just realized we already have a floor template in here. Because this is the sort of style we're going with. I already figured it out. Congrats me. Okay, so... Now, this thing... this floor here suggests using concrete powder. And concrete powder is going to fall. So I don't know about that one. Yeah. Maybe not. However, I do suppose the black concrete, gray concrete mix with the lamp could work. Just as long as we don't leave it so featureless. And I do plan on not leaving it so featureless, but I don't know. It's sort of difficult sometimes. Do we have any? Whoa! Oh right. I thought, whoa! What is this? A new type of villager? But we haven't updated. What is this pastor that you speak of? Apparently swapping languages on your Minecraft thingy can get you mixed up. Anyway, I think we probably will try out this floor combination because I do want to try and stick with a common theme. But if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. We'll do something else. And also, of course, we'll have to support the concrete from beneath if we do indeed plan on doing that. And if we do that, then we're going to have a different roof than the floor, which I think I want anyway. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. Now, we currently have this. It is not much. So we need to improve it, obviously. And I was thinking, like I said, add a couple windows here and there. And then another couple up there. Or actually, no. That's going to be in the next room, right? So, roof, ceiling, floor thingy there. And then a window here, window there. Window here, window there. And those two are going to be on the top floor, those on the bottom. And then hopefully from there we can figure something out for the finer details. In the meantime, I think I'll leave the floor gray like this while we work that out. And that will hopefully allow us to, like I said, work things out. So yeah, I shall try and get the floor in the right place. I think that's the only tricky part about this, the positioning. So I shall work on it. It's one block too high. Ah well, I just put the floor in. So time to take it down again. However, I have a story while I painfully pick that away. Now, I know most of my stories. Bathrow. I know most of my stories end up being interrupted, much like that, many times throughout the whole thing. I'm going to try and keep the interruptions in this one to a minimum. So, yeah, the story. Now, I have for a while been trying to, or wanting to, do some sword fighting. Actual sword fighting. And the problem with sword fighting is that swords are painful. They hurt. if you get hit by a metal one, assuming it's a blunt one, it's still gonna hurt a lot. So what you generally do is you go and buy a foam sword or something, but most of the foam swords are not capable of supporting life. No, are not capable of being used in actual combat. Most of them really are just decorative, honestly. Sometimes not even that. Sometimes they're ugly and non-functional. However, a while back, I found a company which appeared to sell some good swords, some nice looking swords that actually functioned, and they did. They functioned quite nicely. The only problem is that they didn't quite function. Every now and then one of them would break, and the problem is that company has now gone out of business, so you can't even replace the swords. So what I've tried to do is make I've tried to make some swords out of PVC and foam insulation tubing around the outside of the PVC pipe, and it's worked pretty well. They aren't the prettiest swords, but they aren't actually all that ugly either. They look kind of elegant in their own way because they're pretty simple, and not a lot going on means not a lot of mess, and less mess means better looking. So yeah, they don't look awful. And the best part about them is they do work. Now, I have gone through a couple problems with them. One of my main toils has been to try and get them to not have the top break off. Now, PVC, it's not going to break. It's pretty strong stuff, and you would be very hard pressed to snap a bit off. However, PVC pipe insulation is a different story altogether, and the insulation around the top of the pipe pokes off a little bit so that you can thrust, and there's still going to be padding. But the problem with that is that that stuff's not supported by the pipe, and that means that it can be easily lopped off with the other sword. I'm assuming you're not fighting alone, so there's going to be another sword. And that means that you have to either tape it back on or not use the sword, because using the sword with the top broken off means that there's going to be a little bit of pipe exposed, and that's not going to be a good idea to fight with, because we're trying to avoid the entire swords hurt aspect to the game. Ooh, a potato. So what I've tried to do in that regard is I've shortened the amount that pokes off the end of the pipe by about 2 inches, from 3 inches down to 1. I can't tell the difference between the two, really. I can't. Oh wait, I was supposed to look, and there's an interruption. I can't tell the difference between the two in the padding aspect, and that means that it's working. It means I have enough padding, and the reason that it still works like that is because I over padded in the beginning, because I obviously don't want to hurt someone with the sword. So yeah, considering I'm responsible for the injuries caused with my weapons, I wanted to minimize those injuries. And I ended up putting on more foam than was necessary, so the end snapped off, or ripped off, and then the hard pipe was exposed. So yeah, it's not good in the realm of reducing injuries. So now that I've done that, now that I've taken the end off a little, it is working a lot better. They're quite nice swords, actually. What is this? Oh yeah, that. Yeah, so they're quite nice swords, actually, and they can be used to fight with, which is good. So yeah, good stuff going on there. However, the next problem is that as you're using the sword, it is not unheard of for the foam to rip, because you're beating the foam against foam, and they're sort of sliding, and sliding creates friction, friction creates pull, pull creates rippage. And then the rippage is bad because it exposes pipe. So you want to try and avoid that, and that's basically been done as of yet by coating the entire thing in duct tape. So that strengthens the rips, or the foam, so that it doesn't rip, and then that means that it doesn't rip, and that's all happy there. So the next problem I was facing, or rather a problem caused by the rippage, so a fixed problem, was that the rips made the foam a little weaker, so that when you thrusted the foam pushed back, it compressed more, and so then the inch wasn't enough to protect you. But now that I've put the duct tape on, it is, because it no longer rips, and so it's still strong, so the inch is still enough. I'm watching you. Yeah, so from there, I had a pretty good design, except that the ends of the pipes, I wasn't gluing anything together, right? So just sticking the bits together, and the ends of the pipes, or the joins in the pipes rather, were frequently coming undone a little. They were slipping down gradually, and then you had to keep pushing it back in, pushing it back together, and sometimes you would beat the hilt off because the hilt apparently is very easy to beat off. Let's see. Yeah, okay. One more block off the top there. Yeah, so you would every now and then beat the beat bits of the sword off the sword. So I've been gluing the bits together now, and I haven't had any more problem with that. So that's a pretty easy fix there. Although, of course, the glue isn't just normal kids' Elmer's glue or anything. It's the stuff that you smear the primer around on the inside, and then the actual glue or the cement onto the primer bits, the primed bits, and then you put them together and hold them for a moment, and then let them sit for a while like normal glue. But it doesn't. It's not quite normal. It's a little bit more tricky to use, a little bit more time-consuming to use. So it took me a good while to glue those bits together, because I had to glue about 24 joints for the 5 swords that I wanted to make, and that took an hour and a half or so. I'm not very old at the gluing, as in I'm new to gluing. Is this right? Yeah, I'm new to gluing, so I wasn't excessively quick to begin with. I mean, after about 5 joints, I got the hang of it pretty well, but it still took a while because that process is slightly lengthy. Is this all good? Yeah. So I'm going to put a line there where the floor is, I think. Wait. Yeah, okay, that's right. Never mind. I was thinking, I've moved that down one too many times, one too many blocks, because that floor with its ceiling underneath is not centered. Excuse me. However, that is exactly what we want, because the floor itself is now going to be centered, even if the ceiling and the floor together are not. And the floor being centered is what's important. So, where was I? Ah, yes, the swords. So, in the sword department, now that I had a working design, and I had thoroughly worked out some kinks, I've now built some more of them, or not more since the gluing. is not very successful. Not more since the gluing. The gluing has the gluing was me making them all, but the swords I did make were pretty good. I mean they're quite nice so far. I have a double-handed broadsword. I have a couple of 1.5-handed swords, the ones that you block with 2 hands, but then when you're attacking you can generally use just the one. That gives you some extra reach, but still supports your attacks. And then there's also on top of the double-handed and the 1.5-handed, I have another 1.5-handed. But then I also have 2 short swords, 2 one-handed swords, which go together as a pair. So you have the broadsword, a couple of normal swords, and then dual swords, which are really fun to use. Am I doing this right? Yeah, I think I am. So, I have a couple of brothers which occasionally come in useful, and we've been having duels in a ring, a little rope ring set out in the garden, which you try and beat each other out of the ring, basically, fight each other out. If you step out of the ring, then you get 1 out, and the out counts against you, because when you do get the out, you only have a couple more, because if you get out 3 times, if you step out 3 times, then you lose altogether. However, that's not really the most common way of losing, because as you're fighting, if one of your limbs gets hit, you can no longer use that limb in the fight. So you end up hopping around on one leg, swinging your sword with one hand. It's pretty fun. And then once you have both legs chopped off or both arms chopped off, you can no longer you're out. You've just totally lost. And then if you get hit once in the torso, that's just a guaranteed out, because you can't survive without a torso. All your limbs come apart, and then where are you? All over the ground. So yeah, if you get hit in the torso, you're out straight. And then if you get hit in the head, then the person who hit you in the head is out straight, because no hitting the face. That hurts. It's no fun. So those are pretty good rules. And then I just realized, hold on, it occurred to me that I'm just standing here looking at what I've done, which is mine about 4 blocks, and babbling on, although the babbling is fairly fun. I mean, it's fun for me. I don't know how interesting it is. Anyway, the point is I'm not being very productive as I'm talking. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, so those rules are pretty fun on their own, on themselves, I suppose. And where we went from there, perhaps, is even more fun, because we got together some cloth strips, and you tie one around your arm, or leg, or torso, and the bit that you tie the thing around, you end up, anyway, like I was saying, the bit that you tie the strip around gets an extra life, so to speak. As in, you have a piece of armor now, because when you get hit there, instead of losing your limb, or your torso, or whatever, you simply take the strip off, and then you've still got that limb. But if you get hit there again, then it's out. So it's an armor system, and it's been working pretty well. So we've had a fair few fights like that. It's been pretty good. On top of the swords I mentioned earlier, also, I have a couple other foam weapons that I had developed previously to this endeavor, to go with the ones we initially had, and that is, or they are, rather, we have a quarterstaff, which is basically just a PVC pipe with a bunch of foam around it. And then we have a shield, which is some cardboard, or four sheets of cardboard put together with the grains alternating so that it's actually got some strength to it. And then some foam on the top, and I drew a crest on it. And the shield actually works, which is fantastic. When I built it, I sort of expected not having a fully functional thingy, but I was happily surprised. And then I also made a flail, which is a piece of PVC handle with a rope attached to it, and on the end of the rope is a wiffle ball with some foam wrapped around it. So you can swing that around and beat people with the wiffle ball, and then the foam cushions the blow of the deadly wiffle ball. So I just thought that was something that might be fun to listen to, especially since I don't really have a lot of time to do much progress today. It has to be sort of either a short episode or a talky episode. I chose talky. So hopefully that was at least mildly interesting. I'm going to do a little bit more here. I'll put some of this on, as in some black trim across there, and then probably that'll be about it, because like I said, finals don't really have a lot of time. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Actually, no, not quite yet. No, you can't enjoy it yet, or you can't have enjoyed it yet, I suppose. I missed. I need to put this line in. Once I do that, then you can have enjoyed it. So that's what it looks like at the moment. I'm going to do the same thing I did there, up there, and extend that up, that across, that up there, do the same thing there and there, same thing that I did there and there, up there, and there, and then that will probably be it. I might put some irregularities in somewhere to just spice things up. Maybe I'll not have the crosshatch across one of them, or maybe I'll just fuse those two into one building, something like that. Probably I will do something of that sort, as in just some sort of irregularity. Now, that, I think, is about all the time I have for today. It's definitely all the time I have for today. Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed the video. You can do that now. And I shall see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.